now that we've done our calibration, we're going to actually shoot a Jetset Cine take. So we'll go through the different steps in doing that. As we started off, we're going to, if we haven't already loaded it, we're going to go to the hamburger menu and go to recording, Cine calibration, and we're going to load the Cine calibration that we just created, which is the R5 35mm. Now this does a couple of interesting things. You'll see that we show down below the name of the lens calibration file that we just loaded, which is R5 35mm on today. But in addition, we have an aiming rectangle, which is the bright area in the center of the screen, framed by yellow. And what that shows is a pixel mapped representation on the Jetset UI of what is actually visible in the R5's viewfinder. We do that pixel correlation when we do our lens calibration, and it gives us a quite close representation of what the coverage of the Cine lens is while looking through our Jetset UI. It's important to note that right now I have the Axune disconnected and off. We're not actually taking live video in from the Cine camera and bringing that into Jetset. We're actually providing an aiming device in real time that just shows how that lens would map onto the Jetset UI. That's done with the actual features that we calculated earlier when we were doing our calibration. So it's quite accurate. Now that we have our Cine lens loaded, let's go ahead and do some of our usual things. We're going to go to our origin tab. We're going to reset. I'm going to start a new map, and we're going to map. Get a good floor plane. All right, we can set our origin at a likely spot. Adjust it so that's in the right spot, in the right place. There we go. Okay, and then what we will typically almost always want to do when shooting a Cine shot is to scan the set and get a 3D LiDAR scan of the set. And we do that so that we can ensure that our 3D calibration from the lens is correctly mapped and that everything is lining up the way it should. So we're going to go to our set and we're going to click Start. And it'll start overlaying our usual grid on the set. Gonna scan a little bit of our backyard here. And we're also going to scan a little bit of our chair, on which is an iPad, which will become very important in a second. The iPad has our browser remote control loaded on it. Okay. Scan a little bit back here. See some of our wall. Some lovely shrubbery. All right. Great. So let's stop our scan. And we can hide it for now. So before we roll a Cine take, we're going to frame up on our browser Slate. And our browser Slate is going to do a number of real critical things for us, especially with Jetset Cine. In addition to the usual information that the browser Slate shows, it has some additional information now that we're running Jetset Cine. You can see down below it has a lens file loaded, which is the lens file we loaded earlier. It shows the horizontal field of view of this particular calibration, which for a 35mm lens on the R5 is 43.7 degrees. And then we're ready to go. And this is a critical step for Cine. We want to make sure we have this framed and focused, because after we hit roll, in addition to having the usual Cine information, it's going to flash a few special codes on the screen. And those codes are what we're going to use later on to automatically identify and match this Cine video take to our Jetset tracking data. So we want to make sure that we're framed and focused and have the camera reasonably stable for this. So our step is we're actually going to roll our Cine camera first. Then we're going to roll our Jetset take. And you can see it's going to flash a few of the different codes, do some flashing here. Okay, now we can shoot. So we can move back out and move around, see part of the backyard. Some random sandbox things. Okay, and then we're going to cut on our Cine camera and cut on Jetset. All right, so that was a take. And I'm going to adjust my origin over just a little bit, slid a bit while we were moving around. And I'm going to come back, I'm going to frame up, and I'm going to roll Cine camera, roll Jetset, wait, make sure all the different markers have been imaged. Okay, and then we can go back on our shooter take, look around. All right, and then we'll cut on both, and that should do it.